And we're just settling in here. And because we're going to be working our shoulders, we're going to notice how the shoulders feel. Let the pelvis settle into the floor. Let the pelvis be really heavy here. Let the jaw be loose. Drop the jaw open just a little bit. We're going to warm our whole body up now, and we're going to do that by floating the arms up, palms facing each other, coming straight out of the shoulders. On the in-breath, we're going to touch down above the head. So we extend those hands above our head. Palms will be facing the ceiling in this posture. So come back up to start. So we're rotating our hands, our arms, our shoulders as we touch down. That's an in-breath. On the next out-breath, we're going to gather the knees into the chest for a hug. The next in-breath, we extend feet, flex, touch down arms, breathe in here. And on the next out breath, gather the knees, lift the head, the heart, and look between the legs. And then we slowly lower back to the mat. Arms float up. On the in-breath, we touch down. On the out-breath, we gather the knees. The in-breath, feet to the sky, flex them, touch down arms. And on the next out-breath, lift the head, the heart, look between the knees, and then release to the mat. We'll do that a couple more times. Arms float up. On the in-breath, we touch down. The out-breath, we gather the knees in. The in-breath, feet to the sky, touch down arms. On the out-breath, gather the knees, lift the head, the heart, and release. One more cycle. Breathing in, touch down. Breathing out, gather the knees. Breathe in and extend the feet to the sky, touch down arms. And then on the next out breath, lift and look, and then return to the mat. We come to a noticing again. So we're noticing how the shoulders rest on the mat, how the pelvis feels. Check the low back, see if it has a little more forgiveness in it, and notice the jaw. Now join me as we roll to the right side. So we're coming up onto the right side. You can extend the arm out and rest the head on the arm. If that doesn't feel good, so the lower arm, that'll be the right arm we're resting the head on. That doesn't feel good. That arm comes straight out in front of the shoulder, and the head rests on the pillow. You decide what works best for you. So we're resting the top arm. That would be the left arm is resting along the whole length of the side body. And the fingertips are draped a little bit toward the back side of the hip joint. We're going to scoot those knees up a little bit so they're close to 90 degrees. The feet are going to stay stacked, so the insteps are touching. And we're going to start with a little flop. We're going to bring the shoulder forward and then bring the shoulder backward. We're coming forward with the shoulder, and make this a small motion. There is not a destination here. We're just feeling our way into this shoulder joint. And see if you can keep, the head's going to want to roll with it, but see if we can keep just the shoulder engaged here. You might notice the rib cage wants to help. That's okay, but really see if you can find a forward and backward motion that just engages the shoulder. So for a lot of us, the rib cage and shoulders are inextricably linked. We can't move one without the other. Eventually, if we do enough softening work, we can find our rib cage moving distinctly and separately from the shoulder. Now pause for a moment. And now we're going to flop the arm. So we're going to let that shoulder drop forward until the arm naturally slides off and falls to the floor. Bring it back up. We're not trying to control the flop. We're just looking for the point at which the hand hits the floor. We'll do that a few times. Breathing here. So this practice comes from Feldenkrais. A little variation though. Now we pause and we're going to do this backwards. We're going to take the shoulder and rotate it backward until the arm falls off. You might discover and then come back. We're not controlling the fall. You might discover that the hand doesn't reach the floor. There's no destination. We're just getting the shoulders warmed up. So we're doing that a few times. Rolling the shoulder back and letting the arm flop. And one more time. We come back to neutral. Now we're going to take the shoulder and go up toward the ear. We lift the shoulder and then bring it back to neutral. Lift the shoulder, back to neutral. Lift the shoulder, back to neutral and pause. We're going to go down toward the hip now with the shoulder. And neutral. Let that shoulder slide down. And neutral. Sliding again. And neutral. Pausing. And now we're going to do small circles with the shoulder. So we're going to go up, back, down, and forward. Now, here's the key here. We're looking for a circle. You might discover in doing this that it looks like a rectangle, or it's oblong, or it's oval. We're looking for a circle. So make the movement even smaller. Again, it's not about how big you can make this. It's about, can we scribe a circle with our shoulder? And we're going in one direction. And we're going slowly. And then we're going to pause. And now we switch directions. And maybe noticing one direction is easier than the other. Maybe one direction is more clear than the other. Maybe the circle needs to be smaller in order to be clearly seen or noticed as a circle. And then we pause. And just rest here for a few breaths. And now we're going to drop that arm behind us again. And then we're going to make circles with it. Keep the breath moving. You might notice tight bits. So maybe figure out how to make the circle. Maybe you need to bend your arm to make the circle more comfortable. Pause and then switch directions. Which way is easier? Is one more noticeably easier than the other direction? This just gives the brain feedback about what's happening in the shoulder. And then we're going to pause and breathe. Now, if your arm is extended above your head, now we're bringing it down right out of the shoulder. This might be where the pillow comes in handy for your head if you weren't using it already. Make sure those knees are close to 90 degrees. We're going to stack our hands here. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. So we stack the hands. And initiating this movement from the shoulder, we're going to slide that top hand across the lower hand just a little bit. And then we come back, hand stack. And then we draw that hand to the wrist. Come back, hand stack. And now we're going to notice the head as we do this. We slide that top hand across the lower hand. And notice how the head has a turn. Nose goes toward the mat. And then we slide that hand up to the wrist or maybe to the elbow. And then we slide out again. So this is helping the space between the shoulder blades. It helps it soften and expand, extend, strengthen, and come on back. Going back and forth, and you might notice, besides a dog right next to my head, you might notice that as we do this, the extension gets a little easier. Make sure that head is turning. Nose goes toward the mat when we're reaching past the lower hand. This is a nice, gentle strengthener. And then we come back to center. We're going to roll onto our backs. And we're going to take it to the left side, but come to your back first. Roll onto your back. And notice how the shoulders feel as they rest on the mat. Is there a difference between the right side and the left side? Travel all the way through your body down to your feet. Is there a difference between the right and the left side, even down to your pelvis and into your feet? Can you notice? We're in constructive rest posture. We're breathing here. Notice your breath. Does it feel easier on one side in one lung than it does on the other? Now we're going to roll over onto our left side. And again, the arm can slide out, the head can rest on the arm, or the arm can be straight in front. The top arm is going to rest on the whole length of the body with the fingertips draping toward the back hip. We're going to draw the shoulder. Oh, bring those knees up 90 degrees. Stack your feet. Top shoulder, we're going to rotate. We're just going to allow it to come forward. And then take it back. Not too far, just warming up and noticing the shoulder here. Coming forward and back. And now we're going to do the flop. So we're bringing that shoulder forward until the arm drops. And then we come back. Shoulder forward, the arm flops, and then we come back. Shoulder forward, and then we pause back in a neutral posture. And we're going to do this to the back. So now we take that shoulder back and let the arm flop. Come back up. Arm goes back and flops. Come back up. And the arm goes back and flops. Whew. Pausing here. We're going to take the shoulder up toward the ear and back to center, to the ear, and back to center or neutral, into the ear, and into neutral. Now we take the shoulder down toward the hip, come back to neutral, toward the hip. You might notice as you're doing this that there's a little more ease than the first time. That's because the right and the left side talk to each other through the spine. The nerves that connect this shoulder connects you to the other shoulder. So what you do on one side is telegraphed through the nervous system. And then we're going to pause. So we've gone up, we've gone down, we've gone forward, we've gone backward. Let's do a shoulder clock. So let's start by drawing the shoulder up, taking it back, down, forward, and back to 12 o'clock. Now we're scribing a circle here. So the motion's going to be small, it's going to be slow. And we're aiming to find a really nice circle in the shoulder joint. And you might notice when I look at the shoulder clock, it's like, well, there's 4 o'clock and I can't quite get the circle to touch 4 o'clock. So I'm going to make a smaller circle. And then we switch, going forward now and back, forward, down, back, and up. These are really subtle, gentle, soft motions. You might notice stuff happening in your neck. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to pause. Take the arm behind, scribe a circle with the full shoulder, minding that if anything hurts, make a smaller circle. We can do this. Make sure that there is comfort and ease in this motion, and then switch directions. And then come back, pause here, and rest. Slide the arm down, bring that pillow under the head if you need it. Stack the hands. Make those knees at 90 degrees if they slid down just a little bit, or as close to 90 as your body allows. And then we're going to slide that top hand ever so slightly past the lower hand. Then we slide up and come to the elbow, the wrist. And this time when we slide the hand out, we're noticing that the head turns nose toward mat, sliding back. Now, see if you can activate this slide from the shoulder joint. See what it feels like to actually engage the shoulder here and see what happens. There might be a little more movement available if I'm focusing on gliding from the shoulder. Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it? That head is turning toward the mat. As we reach, and then we come back, and we'll do that one more time, noticing that shoulder leading the action. And then we're going to pause. Slide your pillow out of the way. And then opening the top leg, we're just going to roll over onto the mat. Feet come to the mat. And we're in constructive rest posture. Notice how the pelvis rests on the floor now. So while we worked the shoulders specifically, the whole body is involved, right? Because we are a unity. Our body is unified, whether we're aware of it or not. Notice how your feet are resting. And now notice the shoulders. Let's go back to where we started this practice today with the full body warm-up. Let's see how that feels now. We're going to float those arms up, palms are facing. On the in-breath, we touch down. On the out-breath, we gather the knees. The in-breath, we extend the legs, extend the arms. And then the out-breath, we draw the knees in, lift the head and the heart, look between the legs, and then we release to the floor. I'm going to continue cueing this. If you're familiar with this pattern, take it away following your own breath cycle. Arms float up. The in-breath is a touchdown. On the out-breath, gather the knees. And as we're going through this, extend the arms, extend the legs. Maybe notice the lightness, or is there lightness in your shoulders now? We'll do one more cycle. The arms are going to float up. Touch down. Out breath, draw the knees in. In breath, feet to the sky, flex them, touch down arms. And on the out breath, the knees draw in, lift the head, the heart, and we come back to the floor. Walking the feet out as wide as the mat now. Gently take the knees to the left side, let the head turn. Slide the right arm above the head. Now press through the top knee so that lifts the right side of the pelvis, and we're aiming that knee toward the wall catty corner to us. One more breath here. Then let the arms slide down, and we're switching to the right side now. So we've got the left hip lifts, the left knee presses toward the corner, and the left arm reaches above the head. Then we're slowly lowering the arms and knees, come back to center. Breathe in, and on the out breath, draw both legs in, rock gently right and left, maybe taking your knees as wide or wider than the torso. Maybe holding the feet if that's available. This is happy baby. And then we slow that roll and we come back to neutral and release to constructive rest posture. And settle here. And we enter our time of Shavasana, our final resting posture. So I invite you to just settle in. Maybe the legs go long. And notice the effect of the practice on your body today. Rumi says, wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Gently begin to deepen your breath, drawing the breath fully into the lungs and the belly. We draw the feet to standing, one leg at a time, coming back into constructive rest if you're not already there. Gently roll to one side, gather breath on your side. And then press yourself up to seated, head comes up last. Lift the heart. We're going to open the arms wide and we're going to gather all the blessings that already exist, and we draw them into our hearts in appreciation and gratitude. And together we all say, Namaste.